Life was a mess. There's so many pieces to this story. I mean, I was an addict. I came from a family lineage of addiction, so how do you pivot during times of chaos? How do you operate in a calm state of energy so you can execute on your responsibilities? My dad owned a stucco business. He started his business at 16 years old, very hard worker, and he put everybody else in front of him. And there was a point where he had fell off a roof and he had a spinal surgery, and the surgery went south. We lost everything. And then at 20 years old, I had to take my athletic background of playing 9 years of travel ice hockey competitively and project it then into my career. How do I overcome my self-sabotage? It became a journey of self-mastery. I feel like God puts us through things for us so that we can dive deeper into them, and then it ends up leading into our purpose. Then I started diving into shadow work and subconscious stuff and emotional intelligence, emotional management, because I really wanted to help the wholeness of the human being, but really I needed the most help.
All right. So how's it going, Tanya?
Great. How's it going?
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
You guys look good. Nice and strong and healthy AF.
Thank you. You look good too. Thank you for the cookies.
Thank you. You're welcome. They're healthy.
Good.
Eat with love.
I like dates.
Bless them and eat with love.
Nice. Well, for our people on Instagram, we're tuning in to the Omar Lopez Show. We're also recording this for our YouTube channel on the other camera. This is the Omar Lopez Show. We have Tanya Oliver today as our guest. In the Omar Lopez Show, we're going to be focusing specifically on real estate, specifically in wholesaling, but we're also firm believers staying dialed in with our faith, family, fitness, and finance.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a special guest, Tanya, today. And Tanya is going to be talking about how to operate at peak performance, especially for all entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
She's a life coach. We've worked with her in the past. And Tanya, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let us know who you are and what you do.
Perfect. Well, my name is Tanya.
Oh. You want me to adjust that for you?
I think I got it. Can they hear it? I was like, oh, that's all right, you guys. It's the Latin. We have grace for the Latin accents. Okay, so
Tanya.
Yeah. I know it sounds weird. Tanya. So it's Tanya. Like you're gonna come to Florida and get a tan. Yeah.
Right.
Like that, yeah. So my name is Tanya. Thank you so much for having me. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. And I'll start over again. My name is Tanya, and thank you so much for having me. And what I do is I do high performance coaching, aka life coaching for elite entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, company team trainings, and really just getting the human being operating at peak performance to handle the daily tasks, roles, and responsibilities at high level, because there's always going to be something being thrown at us on a day-to-day basis. Even for me, before here, I was like, I had something thrown at me, like, you want to keep going? I was like, yeah, let's go. It's done. We're already, it's already happening, So how do you pivot during times of chaos? How do you operate in a calm state of energy so you can execute on your responsibilities?
Absolutely. And how did you get involved into this? If you go way back, when did you get started doing this?
Oh man, life. I was a mess.
What do you mean you were a mess?
I was an addict. I came from a family lineage of addiction. And so I think sometimes we don't understand things because it's not spoken about. And I played ice hockey. There's so many pieces to this story. I grew up privileged. I grew up privileged, just like a lot of people work super hard for their families so that their children don't have to experience what they did. But I actually grew up the opposite. I grew up privileged. My dad owned a stucco business. He started his business at 16 years old, very hard worker, and he put everybody else in front of him. And there was a point where he had fell off a roof and he had a spinal surgery, and the surgery went south. And he got, to help find relief from his pain, and doctors overprescribing things, got hooked on medication, we lost everything. And then at 20 years old, I had to take my athletic background of playing 9 years of travel ice hockey competitively, and project it then into my career. And I'm grateful that I always had my mom and dad were always big advocates on trying multiple things until you fell in love with them. So I played many sports and then I quit a lot of them. So I was like, thank you for like giving me one more chance to find a sport that I actually was very passionate about. And then I do believe that when you find something that you're passionate about, you will be relentless at it. And because it's, any career is going to be hard. And it's the people that make things look easy are the ones that are, I consider to be experts.
Right.
So there's a lot of pieces that I think like came back to this, but I didn't think I was going to do this because I didn't have somebody like, here, this is exactly your business model. I started my career, I've always loved fitness, and I started my career as a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I got into nutrition. I had food addiction, so I was 60 pounds heavier. And then as I started coaching and training people, because I loved it so much, and I was like, oh, I'm not, like, who's going to want to work with me? Like, I'm struggling with this and that. But people ended up doing it. I was really great at what I did, won a lot of awards. And I realized working with people, I'm like, there's so much more. It's not just the body, it's the mental. So then I started diving into like shadow work and subconscious stuff and emotional intelligence, emotional management, because I really wanted to help the wholeness of the human being. But really, I needed the most help because I want to know what it's like to live life in my full potential. So it's always been this pursuit of what do I got to do to get what I want.
Right. So you said you were a trainer first,
Mm-hmm.
a fitness coach?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there you slowly started getting
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
At 17, 18 years old, I went into a vocational school with Dr. Anthony Abbott. I always believe that if you want to be the best at something, you got to figure out who's the best and then pay for it, right? Mentorship, coaching, and pay for it to be fast-tracked. And so I found him. He had a vocational school here in Boca Raton, and I learned from him. It was about a year curriculum, and then I went away to school, but I came back and then ended up working with Juan Carlos Santana in Boca Raton, who's he's like just really well known for functional strength training. And so I just really pursued it. I fell in love with it, and then it just kind of led to so many other things that I had no idea that it was going to lead to where I am today. And it's like, oh, there's really not a big difference between an entrepreneur and an athlete.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We're different animals, right? And I think we just have to operate at a different performance than the average person. So when you started getting into all of this mindset, coaching and all that, what exactly did you start doing in that transition? And how did you start helping people in the beginning? Yeah,
well, it kind of became a journey of like, how do I overcome my self-sabotage? It came a journey of like self-mastery. So I was like, okay, well, I need to understand my personality traits, which is more of what the shadow work was. And as I mentioned, I did it for me. And then I started realizing I would share these things with my clients. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of people that don't talk about this stuff, that really are struggling in silence and are imprisoned within their own mind, within their body, within their emotions, within their spirit. They're so disconnected. And I was disconnected. And that's why we turned to substances to numb ourselves from it. So as I mentioned, I just became very passionate / obsessed. I feel like God puts us through things for us,
right,
so that we can dive deeper into them, and then it ends up leading into our purpose. And our purpose is our passion. So if you're passionate about something, it's maybe not exactly your entire purpose, but it's a piece of something that allows you to feel more authentically yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about that. I think that's something that maybe some of our viewers might be struggling with, finding their purpose or their passion. So how can, an entrepreneur that's watching us today, how can they go out there and really get in touch with themselves to find their purpose?
Yeah. So there's something, you're familiar with it, but a lot of people aren't, is, we have this huge checklist of these external goals. This is how much money I want to make, this type of relationship I want to be in, this is a business I want. Okay, well, you achieve this, and what is your expectation of how you're going to feel? So that's an intrinsic goal. I want to feel significant. I want to feel like I matter. I want to feel happy. I want to feel abundant. Okay, well, can you tap into those things now? And then what are the people, places, and things in this season of your life? Because God's going to bless you up when you maximize the season you're in. I do believe in being delusional. I do meditate, I visualize, but you're not going to, there's a part of it where it's like you also have to take inspired action, because during the process of it, and I hope people understand this, is it's not always fun. So you can still be in your passion and have a discipline without it breaking your spirit.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is it's like during the process or the pursuit of something, it doesn't mean it's going to be fun. It doesn't mean it's like you're always going to be in this like happy-go-lucky space, because there's things that you're going to have to do that maybe just in that season, and until you get to another season, you aren't able to delegate. And getting back to your question, you can't delegate yourself. You can delegate tasks, but you can't delegate going to the gym. You can't delegate meditation. You can't delegate being present with somebody.
Right.
Like that's human performance. That's human behavior. You can't delegate when you're having an impulse and how you're reacting to it.
Right.
You have that's the inner stuff that you got to do when you understand like, oh, everything is an extension of me. So as I, become whole within myself, and I tap into my energy, and I know how to hone in on my energy, and I know the people, places, and things that add value to my energy of me operating at high frequency, and I know the things that don't, then I can go ahead and make sure like a process of elimination. It's like adding, subtracting, and just knowing like everything is seasonal. Nothing is permanent. There's never a there. This is an ongoing journey.
Right.
So how can I tap into that? You and I talked about this. It's like we need to change the understanding that it's about alignment, not hustle.
Yeah.
Hustle is like a forcefulness. Alignment is like you're in flow. You feel good. We're still here on a Saturday, chopping it up. Having enlightening, hopefully adding value conversations, but it feels good.
Yeah, that was a very good point right there. So. It's so crazy because I really like what you said there on that DM. And to give you guys some context, what I did is I put an inspirational quote, and it said, keep pushing, success is right around the corner. And so what Tanya messaged me back, and she said, don't say that it's right around the corner, just claim it. Like success is already there. And yesterday, what I do, my practice in the mornings is I'll do some breath work. And I'll do some meditation. Sometimes I'll snap in some AirPods and I'll listen to some affirmations, whatever it is, something positive, and then I'll journal. So yesterday, I mean, it being an entrepreneur is tough, right? Let's just face it, So
is it? Do you want to claim that?
You're right. Okay, that's right. So we're talking about that, right?
It's fun.
So,
it's a journey. It's a sport.
I love that.
Let's play.
Let's change the perspective on it, right?
Yeah.
So
claim what you want. It's a label.
Right. So that's a good reminder right there already. So I guess yesterday I was journaling, and I was making it seem tough, right? There's challenges in life, especially being an entrepreneur. And so I think my perspective yesterday was, the big things are coming. And then this morning, after you told me that yesterday, when I started journaling, I said, you know what? It's already here. It's already here. I'm already living it. I'm already breathing it. It's already here. My life is a movie already. So you envision yourself when you're meditating, you're trying to attract, or when I meditate, I'm visualizing myself already successful, doing the successful things that I want. But then after you told me that yesterday, I said, you know what? I'm already successful. It's already here, So it was such a good reminder that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say on that?
I do.
Tell me, or tell everybody.
So 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when I did work with Dr. Joe Dispenza, that was my big aha too. It's like, we're taught like, when I have this, then I can feel this way. Well, what if we start to practice, because it's a practice, it's a muscle. Our vision muscle, our third eye it's a muscle, the pineal gland. And so when you start to visualize, you get better at it. So, okay, well, what if I already did have everything that I wanted? And this is where we even get into the theta healing belief work. Okay, I have everything I want. I have all the money that I want. Who's with me? Where am I? What does that look like? And then maybe fear gets brought up. Okay, what's the worst thing that could happen if you have everything you want? Oh, well, then people are going to take advantage of me. So subconsciously, we start blocking things if we don't go down this path and like give it an opportunity. It's almost like, okay, I want to make X amount of money in business. Okay, well, what are you going to do with that money? If you're not intentional before you get it, then maybe you're going to be impulsive and just blow it all, and then you're going to end up back in square one, if not worse, because now you're in all this debt. So if you start to become strategic and establish the habits that are going to allow you to sustain, if not elevate, and that's why it's so powerful to get clear on what you want, reverse engineer it, and start to plan out, okay, I'm making, $100,000 a month, or making, $1 million a month. And then what am I going to do with this money? How am I going to invest it properly so that I know like taxes are going to come up? Like you're prepared.
Right.
Because you already know it's yours.
Right.
But once you get it, it's almost like you got to get caught up to it. And then you're like, oh, I don't know. Because then your oxytocin gets in and you're like so high on it. And then you're like, I don't know. We're just going to celebrate. Because people in this field as high achievers have a very extremist personality. This is part of self-mastery. If you don't understand your personality trait of being impulsive and understanding that you do damage when you're understimulated and when you're overstimulated.
Okay. Give me an example of that.
So understimulation would be boredom.
Right.
What do people do when they're bored?
Gosh, I feel like I never give myself time to be bored. But when they're bored, they're going to look for that stimulation. Mm-hmm. Right?
Possibly self-sabotage, maybe call the wrong person, or go to the bar, drink, watch television, be scrolling on social media. We think we're not doing it, but before self-awareness comes self-honesty, and you can't be aware if you're not even like seeing like, hold on, let me audit my time. What am I doing before bed? What am I doing? Because then at bedtime, a lot of people don't understand there's something called the late night rebellious procrastinator, because that's a time of freedom, especially people that have children and then they're working all day long. They come home like, but then they're never getting up early enough to go like work out or this and that, because they're always like, it's kind of like this ongoing cycle. So to the point where you have to pause and be like, let me audit. We're auditing money, or maybe you're not, I don't know, but like, are you auditing your time?
Right.
What are you doing 2 hours before bed? What are you doing like the first hour when you're waking up in the morning? What are you doing throughout the day? Is it actually efficient time that you're putting in? Like in my schedule, it's like X to X, and I have productivity hours in there because every day kind of changes,
Absolutely.
And then I have my food breaks in there, and then I have like my workout time, and even my workout time is scheduled as an appointment. So I'm like, nope, nobody goes at that time, because I have to make sure that I'm good so I can handle everything else.
Right.
Because if I'm not good, I'm not going to have the mental strength, the emotional stability, the mental sharpness that I need in order to make great decisions, because malpractice is definitely seen in the medical field, but what about the business? Could you have prevented that deal going south? Could you have prevented that partnership happening that went south? Could you have maybe been faster with that opportunity versus it going to somebody else?
Right.
You know what I'm saying with that?
I hear you.
Yeah.
So I guess for our viewers, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. What is one of the most common things that you see in entrepreneurs? You spoke about it a little bit, but what is the most common thing that you see that is like self-sabotaging their belief system or not allowing them to operate at a high performance? And what are some things that they could do? Like, let's give them some valuable action items that they could do every day so that they can make sure that they start working on themselves to operate at peak performance.
Mm-hmm. What I've noticed is that 99.9% of the people I work with and just seeing entrepreneurs is there's no foundation. So how are you? I kind of look at it like this. If you're building a skyrise, and you've got a weak framework, how tall before the building collapses, or how high do you think that building is going to go before it collapses?
It's not going to go that high at all.
So if you are the framework to everything,
we're the foundation.
We're the foundation. Well, we're the framework because we can have a weak foundation or we can have no foundation. So how far do you think you're going to get to building a business before you self-destruct?
So we're the framework, but then we have a foundation internally that we have to work on.
Yes.
Right?
It's like the spine. Like if we have a weak spine, what type of workouts do you think you're going to get in? Or how mentally clear do you think you're going to be because you're in chronic pain and you can't move? I know I had from my habits, I was sitting a lot because I do a lot of stuff online. My sciatica was getting bad and I was doing yoga. I'm active and I go to the gym every day or I'll go for walks. But that 8 to 10 hours of sitting and doing calls or working behind the scenes. And I was like, okay, so I bought a standing desk. Oh, wouldn't you know? My sciatica pain went away because I had to get to the root of what was going on, my habits.
Okay.
Are my habits assets to what I'm doing in this season of my life, or are they more liabilities?
Right.
So the framework, if we're talking about the foundation, is having a solid night routine. Everybody's talking about morning routines. Well, your morning is going to be dependent upon your night. Your night routine is going to impact your sleep. Your sleep is going to impact your hormones, your food decisions, your insulin levels. It's going to impact if you have the energy to get up in the morning. It's going to impact your mental sharpness. It's going to impact you having a regulated nervous system and taking on like a lot of stuff. And if you don't, then it just dysregulates you the whole day. I know when I don't get a good night's sleep, like I'm not as sharp. I'm not on point. I'm like kind of like feeling like this heaviness, like a fogginess,
Right.
over consuming. So having a solid night routine, a morning routine.
Let's touch on the night routine really quick because I remember that was an epiphany for me too.
Mm-hmm.
There's books about the miracle morning.
Yeah.
Dial in your 5 a.m. routine, your 4 a.m. routine. So everybody's a big believer on the morning routine, right? We get up, we do our breath work, whatever it is, drink our black coffee, read our books, but nobody talks about the night routine. So when you told me about that, your morning routine is just going to be developed from the night routine, right? So if you don't have that routine in the nighttime, where you're going to wake up on time at the same time in the morning, then you're just going to mess it up. Right. So what are some good things that our viewers can do in the night routine? What is it that you do that they can set themselves up for a solid routine in the morning?
Start with the basics. Don't overwhelm yourself. Discontinue electronics. Now, this can go either way because it depends on how you're using the electronics. I will use my electronics for putting on binaural beats. So I'll put on some binaural beats too. And I sleep with binaural beats and I'll put ones out without commercials.
What are binaural beats?
Binaural beats is like tapping into your brain frequency and it puts you more in like a theta state. So you can, in a like a gamma state, adult. So you could put different frequencies on based on, I always just put something on where I feel like I can like get into a calm state of energy. Some of them will have different ones, but if my nervous system's like, I don't like it, because your body's your subconscious, and you have to remember your subconscious is being the most vulnerably programmed last thing at night, about an hour and a half before bed, and then an hour first thing when you wake up.
Right.
So you have to treat that as like the most sacred time of your life.
Right.
And be very intentional on what you want to program so that you, as I mentioned earlier, you're more of an asset versus a liability. Because a lot of times we're being programmed all day long. And you have to have a strong discernment of knowing like, okay, this is truth. These are lies. This is somebody trying to like persuade me or get me to drift or be manipulated. And this is somebody actually trying to create influence, to create impact. So might as well be intentional with my own programming. And then I'll put so the binaural beats is more like a sound frequency that puts you in a really like calm state of energy, allows you to like calm down.
Can they just search up binaural beats on YouTube?
Yeah, you could do binaural beats on YouTube.
Okay.
I would put sleeping one in there, like just keep it super simple because you don't want to be putting in like work focus and then it's another one like starts to activate you. So I just put in like sleep, binaural beat meditation.
What do you think about listening to affirmations like before bed or at night?
That's a great question. I'll listen to even like more spiritual audiobooks if I have a very dysregulated nervous system or something going on in business. Because I'm scaling a business too, so it's like always like when you set that next thing and then you're adjusting to a new level, or you're really like learning to trust yourself, because leadership is really allowing yourself to tap in and trust your intuition on what you're making decisions on and how to be able to pivot quickly. Because that's really when people are running businesses like yourself, or when I'm creating my own business on my own lane, like people are like, how do you come up with it? I was like, just me and God, and I'm obedient. And that means I have to stay connected as much as possible. So sometimes if I'm really dysregulated and I'm kind of like in this little battle, I will listen to like Dr. Joe Dispenza to sleep with, or I'll listen to like Theta Healing audiobook, because I need, for me, I live alone, so I have like that to like help kind of comfort me. And I sleep fine. So I think it depends on like what I want programmed. Do I want this program? Do I want that program? But for the majority of the time, it's like no affirmations, and it's just like soothing. I haven't found one that has like a soothing tone. If somebody's saying something and it's like, man, this tone is like not like making me want to go to sleep, I'm like getting a little angry, because you have to remember your voice is an instrument and it has a frequency. So also same thing. That's why I don't know if you've experienced this, but I'll be listening to audiobook and I'll shut it off. I was like, I can't listen to this. I can't stand this person's voice. I'm just going to get the book.
Yeah, I think for me, the audiobooks, sometimes I don't pay attention to them as well.
Yeah.
But I'll just listen to them multiple times, like while I'm at the gym. But what I have been listening to is affirmations in the nighttime. There is some, what do you call it again? What you listen to in the night?
Binaural beats.
Binaural beats. There are some beats that I listen to sometimes in the mornings when I meditate. But I've been doing pretty well with affirmations, and they're just I am affirmations. Yeah. Like I am healthy, I am wealthy, and they'll just play all night. Yeah. Like right before I go to sleep, and in the morning I'm listening to them to just program my subconscious mind.
Yeah. Well, that's more like the frontal cortex, because if you're programming things, and this gets into something where I've started really getting deep diving into passionately. Instead of saying obsessively, I say passionately.
Okay, I like that. It's all about the way that we say it, guys. Yeah. Instead of saying obsessively, say passionately.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about it. So Theta Healing, I've been certified since November, and it's all about the subconscious, but it can even be more on like, you've got the frontal cortex, you've got genetic history, and your soul. So you can be programming all you want, but if you're not getting to the bottom belief, just like that skyrise, you're going to still stack on these like limiting beliefs. You're going to have ceilings in your life, maybe in your business, your life, your relationships, until you get to the bottom belief, and then you program them differently with God's understanding, so that you can release it and then program what you want to program them with. That stuff that you're struggling with your whole life, or attracting different things, is still going to keep getting brought up.
Got it.
So it's almost like life is like keep giving you these patterns, and until you actually get to the core of it, you can't. So affirmations are great for like you speaking them, affirmations, and then if you want to take it a step further, you can get into incantations. Tony Robbins is really big on the incantations. You're like, I am amazing, I am powerful, I am confident, I am strong, I am healthy, and you really get into it and you like move your body with it, then you can embody it. But sometimes you have things where you have to really pay attention to, that you're blocking your blessings, and then it becomes a journey of like the removal. If you have fear, if you have resentment, if you have disbelief on a different level, you could be carrying things that aren't even really yours.
Right.
Came from your parents. Because when we're children, we're being programmed. Our brain is being programmed on a deeper level. When a woman is carrying a baby, cellular impressions, cellular memory. You don't think we have our parents' cells?
Of course,
our grandparents' cells.
1,000%.
So
1,000%.
that's cellular memory. That's why I'm so happy you're like really into the yoga, because yoga is a tool and a form of yoga. Just means union with higher consciousness. So it's a tool to also cellular memory release through our breath work. But there's multiple tools and there's multiple paths to an end destination.
Right. Let's talk about yoga really quick. I know you know a lot about that, and I've become very passionate about yoga, as you've seen.
I love it.
I love it because yoga has meditation benefits. I do hot yoga. So the hot yoga is cardio. And it also has stretching benefits, strength benefits. You might not think it because you think you're stretching more, but when you're holding certain poses, the better that you get at it, depending on the pose, you might be standing on one leg, you're strengthening that muscle. And then all of that really just allows you to tap into your spiritual side. And when I do yoga, I feel 1,000 times better. When I don't do it, I'm more stressed, I'm more anxious, I'm just not myself. So I'm going to be a yogi for the rest of my life. So since I'm very passionate about yoga, what can you tell our viewers about yoga, and why should they do it?
Yeah. Well, there's multiple versions of yoga. It's not just one way. There's multiple teachings. You're talking about vinyasa. I have 2 yoga certifications.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember I got you into
Yeah,
it. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, you got it.
You actually did.
So a lot of people talk about the Kundalini rising. That's just our chakras, our energy systems. Like you guys, multiple paths to an end destination is just language. It's kind of leads to the same thing. It's our energy systems lining up. We do certain poses and twists, releases cellular memory, and we can like reset our energy system. There's like, it goes from the bottom of the spine all the way up to the crown. And, but we also have, energy systems in our hands. So when you shake something, your hands are an extension of your heart, your feet, the soul, 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 soul of the foot. That's why the grounding is so important for the electromagnetic energy. Here's your audience go with all this stuff. We're probably like, what is she talking about? But good. This is good. These are science, so you guys can look up. But yoga is also, it's like the art of science and our energy systems and how we do. There's different forms. I first started, what really got me passionate about yoga was when I did Raja. Raja was hot Raja, 90 minutes. And this is where you get to get deep into the fascia. In the fascia, we have those cellular memory. That's why the heat has a lot of transformative properties on emotional level. Like in our hips carry like emotional memory in our hips of just past stuff. Our shoulders are recent stuff. And that's why people are like, man, my shoulders are tight, or I feel like I'm carrying a lot. That's because it's recent. It's what you're doing right now. It's your stress levels here. But this can sometimes be old stuff, stuff that you haven't dealt with, like the past stuff. And I started with Raja because I was already doing strength training 5 to 6 days a week. So I wanted muscle disengagement, because the vinyasa is muscle engagement, where you're engaging the muscles, you're holding the pose, which is, if you think about a plank, you're holding the pose. So you're still activating the muscles, the engagement of the muscles. And when you're doing find a practice, I always recommend people do strength training and then they do at least like a yin. But if you just want to jump straight into it, you can do a hatha or a vinyasa. There are so many names to it, but the whole point of yoga is just a union with your higher self.
Union with your higher self.
That's what it means. It's a union to help quiet the chaos of the mind. If you go into the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, there's all these, they're called sutras, they're threads. And they did a study where they took, because this year I really committed to reading the Bible and just to like be very familiar with scripture and understanding. But there was a book, I forget who wrote it, when I was going through teacher training, and they had taken the yoga sutras and then the Bible, and they were practically saying the same life lessons. Because I had a Christian yoga teacher, and he was really like intertwining a lot of the Christianity, because it's Christ consciousness.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look to the core and the intention of anything, we live in Miami, so just like any industry, they're gonna take something and they're gonna turn it into entertainment. Right. But if you get to the core of something that's taught from the core practices of the purpose of why it was created, it's gonna be transformative, on all levels.
Okay.
So
you're saying that the core of everything is the transformation, but nowadays it's tailored into entertainment.
Well, there could be. So this is where you have to have discernment. If you want to do it to have fun because life is too serious and you want to do hip hop yoga, do hip hop yoga. It's fun. Okay. I want to listen some with like good, lyrics, of course, because our words are programming and it puts us in a hypnotic state with our music. But I like to listen to some good Christian rap, and I'll do some yoga to that. Like sometimes I don't want to be so serious. Like I have so much discipline in my life. You want to have that healthy stimulation. That's why I was like, come on, you guys got to start salsa dancing.
Right.
Start getting into the dancing, because you have that when you're under stimulation, or life is just, you're putting all the work in and you're not seeing the return that you want, because that's like a high, like, yes, I manifested, I created it, the money's in the account, this and there, I got the house, I got this. Like there's might be a process of you trusting the process, and you are just in heart, you're doing the work, and right. Maybe you don't see the return yet, but how can I tap into feeling the way that I want to feel today?
Right.
What are some of the people, places, and things? What are some of the environments I can place myself in to help me regulate my nervous system? Because I got a lot of stress going on right now. I'm in a pivoting season, a lot of uncertainty. Or maybe you just lost a lot of stuff. You were in a divorce. You've lost a loved one. Your business didn't work out the way you wanted. Your business partnership went south. So how do you make sure you're the eye of the hurricane throughout this next season of what you're going through?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember speaking with you one time, and I think we were talking about life expectancy, and a lot of it is from not doing exercise, not eating the good foods. But you said that the biggest killer of us is stress, right? So stress is regulated in the nervous system, right? So
It's our heart.
It's our heart. So what is one thing that our viewers can do every day to regulate their nervous system to become less stressed so that they can stay aligned?
It's going to go full circle back to the foundation thing, which I know there's so much to talk about, but really take your sleep serious. Get on a solid night routine. I love taking warm showers. Something about warm water, I don't have a bath here in Miami, but I did before, but Epsom salt baths. Have little things. I love lighting candles even throughout the day, setting my environment to help me have a regulated nervous system. I love aromatherapy. I'll do different aromatherapies and warm teas. I love drinking warm tea. So we have to activate our senses, and those are some things, but the biggest thing is it's very few things. It's simple, not easy. Your night routine, figure out how to get better quality sleep. Maybe you got to invest in a better mattress, better sheets. I get my best sleep with my eye mask on because I don't care what people say about spend $1,000 on blackout curtains. Dude, $10 eye mask, game changer. Even
Really?
especially if you travel, yeah. You got to get the one that pops out, though. It's like that bug eye mask
Okay.
one, so it's not adding compression on the eyeballs.
Right.
And your morning routine, because that's the sandwich of how your day is going to go. Exercise every day. People are like, oh, but I'm only exercise Thursday. Nope, every single day. You need to move your body every single day. You're going to get blood flow to your brain. You're going to help create more emotional stability. I don't care if you're walking every day. Hilda asked me, she's like, what are you doing? You look like you're leaning out. I'm like, right now, I put my gym membership on pause. I'm doing home workouts and I'm doing functional strength training. I'm lifting less because I know my nervous system is my stress levels are higher. So I need to add things outside of me to help me balance it out.
Got it.
So it's it depends. If I don't really have that much and everything's in flow state, then I'll probably lift a lot heavier. So I'm imposing stress in a good way, but not the stress where I'm having anxiety thinking about what I'm going to work out, what I'm doing for my workout and what I'm leg pressing and this and that. I love strength training, but it's also, that's why I think somebody becomes an expert is what you need when you need it. When you're yellow lighting, when you're red lighting, how do I get back into the green? And that's sleep schedule, morning schedule, exercise schedule, food schedule.
Okay.
That's the foundation.
So the foundation, we said sleep schedule, which is the night routine.
Your night routine.
Morning schedule.
Figure out how to have quality sleep.
Quality-based
sleep. I know if you just had children or newborns, it's going to be a little bit different, but just remember it's seasonal. So maybe you could do more things that you enjoy, like walking or taking naps, or maybe somebody can help you out every once in a while, because that's a different season. I know when people have newborn babies and kids and stuff like that.
Exercise schedule.
Your exercise schedule.
And
so
your
just
food
think
schedule.
about movement and your food schedule.
It's kind of like you said, it's just the basic stuff, right?
It's so simple,
it's
but
the stuff we already know.
Nobody has their foundation down when I first start with them. And it's such a game changer because then you're like, man, I got so much mental clarity. When I'm blocked creatively or I can't resolve something, I go out rollerblading. And all of a sudden, solutions galore. I'm like, I can't shut it off. I'm like, oh my God, it's so creative. I know what I'm going to do. Oh my God, this is what it was. And exactly what it was. Every time I'm blocked, if I can, I'll either meditate or I'll just get fresh air and I'll go blading or I'll go for a walk, and creativity just is
Right. I remember one time we were talking about 75 hard, and I think you're kind of against 75 hard.
Not against anything. I'm just in about alignment.
Well, what I wanted to say was you were talking to Carlos Reyes,
Yeah.
and you guys were talking about how everybody gets the 75 hard bug,
Yeah,
and we
they
started
do.
thinking, you know what? What is 75 hard? 75 hard is working out twice a day, drinking a gallon of water, not drinking any alcohol, sticking to your meals, reading, and taking the picture, right? And I think you said that you guys were speaking to yourselves, and you said, I mean, that's what we should be doing anyways.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we should be doing anyways.
But that's why the model works great. The only thing is like you're an extremist, so you're gonna go extreme. Like I had a client do it, and he had like snowstorms because he had to get one workout outside. He was walking in snowstorms, and I was like, good for you for your commitment. But like, why can't you just like walk on a treadmill? You know, like does it if you're depending on your weather conditioning, I'm not gonna compromise. There's three things I'll never compromise in any business or anything like that I do: my health, my heart, and my peace of mind. So it was like that was just like an extreme example, but it's like it is. I think that it's just a great model, and it then the person takes it to what they want because it's like there's structure and there's freedom within structure, but a lot of people have no structure, have never had structure. They can't handle the freedom within structure. They need to have somebody to break it down step by step. Like this is what it's gonna be. These are the things that are gonna be part of your night routine from 9 to 10. You're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can change this up a little bit because if you start brain dumping before bed, maybe your mind is gonna go like kooky, or then you're going to start thinking all these business ideas, and then you're going to not be able to unwind for another hour or two because now all of a sudden your brain is like super creative. But maybe we could put your brain dumping an hour and a half before bed, and then this way you can look at it in the morning, and then you give it a 1, 2, or 3 based on how you're going to prioritize it. And so like meaning like because a lot of people also struggle with how to prioritize.
Yeah.
Like everything's important right now, and then you're in this like overwhelmed state, and you probably maybe got one thing done.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've been improving with time as well. The more busier and the more successful that we got, the more that I had to do that. Because I didn't come from a background that we used to prioritize our day.
No, they don't teach this stuff. How are you supposed to know? That's why a lot of people don't even know like what I do exists, or they're like, oh, like it's like super fluffy and this and that. Like, no, like it really there's so much power in foundation. And what I've realized, because of people operating in survival mode because you had to for so long,
right,
it becomes a habit.
It's just
even your nervous system is addicted to stress.
We're subconsciously like in the survival mode from the way that we were brought up, like you mentioned, from our families, like
because that was your foundation.
That was our foundation.
Biochemically.
Right.
So people talk about like addictions. It's not just substance. It's also energy stuff. Like okay, well, if I'm not stressed out, then there's something wrong.
Right.
Like it's like your nervous system is addicted to chaos, or there's something that has to always be, and you're everything. But doing nothing is a decision. You know, it's not like the doing the nothing, but maybe you need to sit there and you need to read something for an hour, and your mind is like this guilt thing or XYZ. So that's the beautiful thing about this is like when you get really clear on and your personality also is a learned behavior. And it's learned by who we're brought up by, who's raised us, or who are our role models, because not everybody has been able to have a mom and a dad. Maybe just had a mom, or maybe just had a dad, but maybe they were absent because they were trying to provide for you, and then you just went to school, so you kind of had to raise yourself. And so television was like where you picked up pieces of your personality.
Right.
Or an uncle or this or that, like who did you like, where were your programming as again? Then sometimes you have mom and dad, and it's just like you pick up their beautiful things, but you also pick up their it's called shadow traits. You pick up the shadow traits, the parts of you that are self-sabotaging. It's not bad. It's just that we want to, when we can see it clearly and we're not blinded by it, we can then give it a new desired direction. A desired direction that works for us versus against us.
Right.
Based on where we want to go and what we want to build. Because that's a beautiful thing about being human, is when we're consciously aware and we're living life intentionally, we get to decide how we want to build our life.
Right. So to kind of sum this up, like, it's okay, right, to feel like that, acknowledge it, that's the way that we were brought up.
Mm-hmm.
But as high performers, as high achievers, being intentional about life, we just got to remember to set the right foundation for ourselves, reprogram ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can stay aligned with our health, with our exercise, and everything, so that we can just operate at peak performance.
The biggest thing is to remember you're a human being before you are a role, task, and responsibility. And everything in your life is an extension of you. Your business, your life, and your relationship is an extension of you. So if you want to go pro, you need to make sure that the foundation is solid so that no matter what, will never break you.
Awesome,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Uh, do you think I know that you have some breathwork practices? Do you think that there's a breathwork practice that we can give our viewers right now?
Yes.
Why don't you guide us through a breathwork practice? Anybody that's on the live, if you guys want to go ahead and join us. Otherwise, our viewers on YouTube for our content, walk us through a breathwork practice that you have.
Okay. Mine is a grounding one. It's one of my favorites. I feel like most people, especially the real estate industry, operate in a very high stressful state. And when you're having anxiety, which I notice that being the core emotion, most people are medicated with that emotion.
With anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And prescribe medication to numb it, but it doesn't resolve anything. So, grounding exercise, I see you do a lot of the Wim Hof breathing or the like. That's great if you are more depressed.
Mm.
And you need to kind of like cold water on your face.
Mm.
But when you're having anxiety, it can end up backfiring.
Mm.
What you need to do is just ground yourself, because when you're anxiety, you're up here. Anxiety is futuristic. Depression is the past. So how do we come back to center? How do we learn to be present? It's the connection with the breath. So our heart, our breath controls the rate at which our heart beats. So if you want to get in a calm state of energy, you need to learn to control the breath.
That was amazing right there. That I just learned something new right there. You said anxiety is the future, depression is the past. So different breathing exercise like the ones that you like to do will ground yourself to the present.
It depends on where I'm at emotionally and energetically.
Oh.
That's the power of self-mastery, is knowing yourself and knowing which tool to pull when you need it. It's like I had to change my license plate the other day. I wasn't going to use a hammer to change my plate. I needed to use a screwdriver. So knowing how to take off my license plate, I have a bunch of tools. I've got power tools, I got drills, I got this, I got that. I was like, I need a screwdriver for this one.
Yeah. So in whatever state of mind you're in, you have different tools that you've developed, and that's the tool that you're going to use to take you present and make your nervous system calm down if you're stressed out.
And it's all an exercise. So for example, if I'm in a coaching session or I'm doing a presentation and I have a dysregulated nervous system, I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, sorry, hold on, I gotta breathe in the middle of it. Like, you're an athlete, you gotta perform. So what I'll do is, because I practice so much, I'm like, ride the wave of frequency. That's like always like one of my things is like, get reconnected to your breath. You're disconnected from your breath right now. And then it helps me ground. So you want practical tools. So always just be like, okay, so as I'm talking, I'll slow down a little bit, or I'll just like breathe, I'll pause, and I'll just like take a deep breath in.
Let's do it right now.
No, I just did it. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, but the breathing one to show you guys is, you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I always come back to the heart. It's important to come to the heart, because if you feel, and also to a lot of people, if they've never connected with themselves, or they feel disconnected, or you're emotionally unavailable, it's okay. Yeah, it's put your hands on your heart, and sometimes it might be uncomfortable, but it's just practice. The more you practice, the better you get. Your heart is your life force. Your heart is where God places your dreams, your desires, and when you're connected to it, you're connected to those things. I want to make sure that the mind becomes obedient to the heart. So think about your mind almost melting into your heart. Or you can just try to feel your heart. And once you feel settled into your body, you can feel your body, is you want to take a deep breath in, into the heart. And as you exhale, it's just like a poof. So you inhale and exhale. We're going to do 5 of these. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And we'll do one more. Inhale. And exhale. And then when you're ready, you gently open up your eyes. How'd that feel?
Feel great.
You feel like calm?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also getting used to being calmness. You're in your power when you're operating in calm state of energy. It's also a theta energy. It also can become a self-hypnosis. And I think a lot of people are afraid of being in the calm energy because they think they're going to be lazy. But it's just false programming. You're in your most power when you're in a calm state of energy because you're your most clear. And that's really how it works. That's the alignment. Am I connected to my breath? Am I connected to my energy? Or am I giving my energy out? Am I running around like a little chicken? You know, like if this doesn't work about 5, because 5 in numerology represents change, so I can change my energy within 5 breaths, then I'll plug my right nostril and I'll just seal like knowledge, or I'll seal truth, and I'll go into like an energy sealing. Or if you want to just ground yourself, you could put your hand on your leg or palms up for receiving. And I'm going to exhale through my left nostril. And then I inhale through my left. And I plug and hold. And then exhale through my right. And I inhale through my right. Plug and hold. Exhale through your left. Inhale through your left. Plug and hold. You could hold for like 4, or you could just hold and then go to the other side. And then exhale through your right. Inhale through your right. Plug and hold, and then we're going to tuck our chin into our chest, and we're going to go into something called sensory withdrawal. We're going to pinch off the vagus nerve, and we're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. That's if I'm really dysregulated. I'll do 5, and then we only did like 2 per nostril, but I'll do 10. So 5 per nostril, plug, and then, so it's like a 5, 5, like it's like 5, 10 if you're doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, or just like 5 per nostril, and then a 5. So it's like a 5, 5, 5.
Okay.
And if you're like really in your head, you can even do like backwards counting, because it also calms you down and puts you into self-hypnosis, where it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're breathing and you hold 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale, like maybe like a 5 to 8 count. A lot of people don't breathe, so even breathing for 5 seconds is hard. I'd say work your way up until like an 8 second.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, there's so many. There's not just one, but it's knowing which one to pull when you need it.
Which tool out of the tool belt.
And our breath is our prana. Our breath is our life force. There's so much power. And think about it. A woman gives birth. I've never given birth. But like, a woman gives birth to creation, and what tools do they give her? Besides, the epidural. But like, if they're doing like a natural birth, breathing exercises.
Got it.
Breathing exercises.
Our breath is our prana.
Yeah, it's our life force.
Begins and ends with a breath.
So why will we not use it in the in-between every single day?
Right.
Every day's practice.
Incredible. Tanya, to kind of conclude it and start putting a bow on this, what is a message that you can give all of our viewers out there, all of our high achievers, just to kind of put everything into one basic summary? What should they go out there and do so that they can make sure that they stay aligned?
Well, if you truly want to be aligned and thrive and get out of survival mode, this is super simple but very hard, so I get it. You got to learn to prioritize yourself and make it a non-negotiable.
Got it.
You have to. You have to put yourself first above all else. You got to take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. spiritual bugs you out, you could say energetically. Like,
Right.
what's the energy? Do you want to show up? Do you want to show up with vitality? Do you want to be vivacious, or you want to always be like, oh, I have no energy today?
I love
You
that.
know? So it's like really put yourself first, get back to like get your foundation solid. If it's overwhelming for you and you already know it, but you're not doing it, hire a coach.
Right.
Hire a coach for accountability, support, and structure.
If somebody wants to reach out and get some work from you, where can they find you?
Yeah, Tanya C. Oliver for my Instagram at Tanya C. Oliver. Just send me a message, Tanya C. Oliver, and I know you're going to tag me on here. And then I do a complimentary strategy call. That way it's like very like low pressure, because I know a lot of people have commitment issues.
Right.
So that's what we do, and we can schedule a strategy call and just go from there.
You guys heard it from the girl herself. Prioritize yourself. If you want to operate at peak performance, not be in a survival state, but be in a thrive state, prioritize yourself. In faith, family, fitness, finance, health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Self-mastery, emotional intelligence.
Too. Everything, guys. Everything. Everything that you already know what to do, go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Awesome, Tanya. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.